The phone shattered the silence like a gunshot in an empty cathedral. "Jake, it's Ryan. Don't hang up. They're coming for me." Rain hammered the windows of Jake Harlan's Brooklyn loft, but nothing drowned out the raw terror in that voice. A voice he hadn't heard in 3 years. By the time Jake grabbed his keys, the line went dead, and the world outside blurred into a nightmare he couldn't outrun. Jake Harlan slammed the truck door against the storm, the wipers barely keeping up with the downpour that turned the streets of Queens into rivers of regret. He'd been nursing a whiskey in his dimly lit kitchen when the call came, the kind of late-night jolt that ripped open old wounds. Ryan Caldwell, God, Ryan, with his quick wit and quicker smile, the guy who'd once made Jake believe in second chances. But that was before the betrayal, before the raid gone south that cost Jake his badge and Ryan his trust. Now, this frantic plea, words tumbling like the thunder overhead. "Warehouse on Flushing Avenue, hurry. I think they know." He shouldn't have come. Jake knew it in his gut, the same instinct that had kept him alive as a cop for a decade. But love, twisted, unresolved, didn't care about shoulds. He floored the gas, tires hydroplaning through red lights, the city a smear of sodium lamps and shadowed alleys. Brooklyn to Queens felt like crossing state lines into hell. What the fuck was Ryan tangled in now? Last Jake heard, he'd gone straight, software consultant, clean suit, the works. But voices like that didn't lie. They carried the weight of secrets too heavy to hold alone. The warehouse loomed like a forgotten beast on the waterfront. Chain-link fence rattling in the wind, graffiti-scarred walls dripping with graffiti that read like curses. Jake killed the engine a block away, heart pounding harder than the rain on his hood. He slipped through the shadows, Glock tucked under his jacket. Unregistered, a ghost from his old life. The air smelled of rust and salt from the East River, mixed with something sharper. Fear. Or gunpowder. A side door hung ajar, light spilling out in a sickly yellow wedge. Jake eased inside, boots silent on the concrete slick with puddles. Crates stacked like tombstones, forklifts dormant like sleeping giants. Then voices, low, urgent, edged with menace. "You think you can just walk away, Caldwell? After what you saw?" Ryan's reply was steady, but Jake caught the tremor. "I didn't see shit. Let me go, Marco. We're square." Marco. The name hit like a sucker punch. Marco Reyes, kingpin of the docks, the ghost Jake had chased for years before internal affairs buried him under lies. Reyes's crew smuggled everything from fentanyl to falsified passports, but it was the human cargo, the desperate migrants funneled through these very walls, that had Jake seeing red. He'd busted a ring once, collars tight around necks that weren't collars at all. Ryan had been his CI then, feeding tips from the inside, until he flipped, or so the report said, selling Jake out to save his own skin. Jake crept closer, peering through a gap in the crates. There was Ryan, hands zip-tied behind his back, pressed against a metal beam. Blood trickled from a split lip, staining his white button-down. But his blue eyes burned with that defiant fire Jake remembered from stolen nights in dive bars. Marco loomed over him, a bull of a man with a scar twisting his lip into a perpetual sneer, flanked by 2 goons in black hoodies. "You're done, kid. Boss wants loose ends tied." Marco pulled a switchblade, the click echoing like a death knell. Jake didn't think. He moved, a shadow detaching from the wall, Glock raised. "Drop it, Reyes. NYPD might not want me, but I still got aim." The room froze. Marco's blade hovered an inch from Ryan's throat. Ryan's head snapped up, eyes widening. Not in fear, but something deeper, like recognition laced with pain. "Jake? Jesus! Get out!" "Shut him up!" Marco barked. One goon lunged, but Jake fired a warning shot into the floor, concrete chipping like teeth. The man skidded to a halt. "Untie him, now!" Jake's voice was gravel, steady as the hand that held the gun. He'd faced down worse. Riots in the Bronx, shootouts in the subway. But this felt personal, a scalpel slicing old scars. Marco chuckled, low and mean. "Harlan, the disgraced hero. Heard you were rotting in some bar. What's this? Reunion tour?" "Something like that." Jake stepped forward, rain dripping from his hair, pooling at his feet. He could see the calculations in Marco's eyes, weigh the odds, the heat. Reyes was smart. That's why he ran the docks like a shadow empire. Fine, take your boy, but tell him, debts don't drown in the river. Marco nodded to his man, who sliced the ties with a grunt. Ryan rubbed his wrists, shooting Jake a look that was equal parts gratitude and fury. They backed out slow, Jake covering their retreat, the warehouse door slamming shut behind them like a coffin lid. Outside, the storm raged on, lightning fracturing the sky. Ryan slumped against the truck, breath ragged. You idiot. Why'd you come? Because you called. Jake holstered the Glock, close enough to feel the heat radiating off Ryan despite the chill. 3 years and it was like no time passed, the pull, the ache. Ryan laughed, bitter and broken. I called because I had no one else. And now you're in it too. The drive back was a tense blur, wipers slapping rhythm like a metronome to their silence. Jake's loft in Williamsburg was a far cry from the luxury Ryan probably crashed in now. Exposed brick, second-hand couch, a fridge stocked with beer and regret. But it was dry and it was safe. For now. Ryan peeled off his soaked shirt in the bathroom, revealing bruises blooming like dark flowers across his ribs. Jake tossed him sweats from the drawer, the same ones Ryan had left behind that last night, before the fallout. Talk, Jake said, leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed to keep from reaching out. Ryan emerged, towel drying his hair, the sweats hanging loose on his lean frame. He looked smaller without the bravado, vulnerable in a way that twisted Jake's heart. It's Marco's new game, not just drugs. People. Migrants, mostly from the border. They pay everything for a safe passage. End up indentured here, working the docks till they break. Jake's jaw tightened. He'd seen the reports, whispers in the precinct before they kicked him out. And you? How'd you get mixed up? Undercover. Freelance for a journalist friend. Thought I could expose it without. You know. Ryan sank onto the couch, elbows on knees. But I got too deep. Saw names, cops on the take, politicians turning blind eyes. Marco found out. Freelance. Jake barked a laugh. Jesus, After what happened? What happened was my fault. Okay? Ryan's voice cracked, eyes glistening. I flipped because they had my sister. Leverage. I never meant to screw you over. The air thickened, charged like the storm outside. Jake paced, fists clenched. You testified against me, said I planted evidence. I lost everything, badge, pension, the works. Woke up to reporters on my lawn, calling me dirty. Ryan stood, closing the distance. I lied to protect her. She was 17, Jake. In over her head with Reyes's crew. I couldn't lose her too. The word hung there, unspoken grief. Jake's brother, Tommy, gunned down in a crossfire 5 years back. Another casualty of the streets. Ryan had been there that night, holding Jake as he shattered. I get it, Jake murmured, the fight draining out. But this? You're gonna get yourself killed. Ryan's hand brushed Jake's arm, tentative. Not if we stop it. Together. The touch lingered, electric. Jake pulled away, not ready for the floodgates. Sleep on the couch. We talk in the morning. But sleep didn't come. Jake lay in the dark, listening to Ryan's even breaths through the wall, memories crashing like waves. Stolen kisses in patrol cars, whispered promises under subway rumbles. Love in a city that chewed up dreamers and spat out husks. By dawn, the rain had eased to a drizzle, but the danger? That was just beginning. They met Elena at a greasy spoon in Astoria, the kind of place where the coffee burned your tongue and the booths hid confessions. Elena Vasquez, Ryan's journalist contact, sharp-eyed Latina in her 40s. Notebook always at the ready. She'd smuggled them in through the back, eyes darting like she expected tales. Here's what we got, she said, sliding a thumb drive across the formica. Manifests, wire transfers. Proof Marco's washing money through fake charities for migrant aid. But the real kicker, Detective Harlan's old partner, Lou Carver. He's dirty. Jake's stomach dropped. Lou, Big, boisterous Lou, who'd mentored him fresh out of the academy. Shared beers, shared beats. No way. Way, Elena pressed. Photos, timestamps. He's the inside man, feeding tips to Reyes. Ryan squeezed Jake's shoulder under the table, a silent anchor. We take this to the feds. Clean channel. But Jake's mind raced. Lou had called last week casual check-in. How's civilian life, kid? Now it reeked of reconnaissance. As they left, the street felt watched. A black SUV idling too long at the curb. Jake hustled them into the truck, peeling out with a squeal. We're burned. Back at the loft, paranoia set in. Ryan barricaded the door while Jake swept for bugs. Coming up empty but no less uneasy. Night fell heavy, the city humming beyond the windows like a beast stirring. They ordered pizza, prosaic normalcy in the storm, and ate cross-legged on the floor, backs against the couch. Ryan's laugh came easy when Jake recounted a botched stakeout from his rookie days, involving a drag queen and a flock of escaped parakeets. For a moment, the world narrowed to this. Two men, takeout boxes, the flicker of a muted TV. You're still the same, Ryan said softly, sauce on his lip. Stubborn as hell. Jake wiped it away with his thumb, the gesture intimate, unthinking. Time slowed. Ryan's breath hitched, eyes darkening. Jake, don't. But Jake didn't pull back. The kiss was inevitable, soft at first, then hungry. Years of longing poured into the press of lips, hands tangling in hair. It wasn't fire. It was embers reigniting, warm and aching. They broke apart, foreheads touching. We can't, Jake whispered. Not with this hanging over us. Ryan nodded, but his hand stayed on Jake's neck, thumb tracing jaw. Then let's end it. For good. By midnight, they pored over Elena's files on Jake's laptop. The screen's glow casting their faces in blue. Names blurred, victims, perpetrators, the thin line between. One entry stopped them cold. Tommy Harlan, Jake's brother. Listed as a resolved asset. Dated the night he died. What the fuck? Jake's voice broke. They used him. Ryan's face paled. God, Jake. I'm sorry. The pieces clicked. Tommy deep undercover, Lou pulling strings. Betrayal layered on betrayal. Rage boiled, but Ryan's arms around him tempered it, holding tight as sobs racked Jake's frame. In vulnerability, trust rebuilt, brick by fragile brick. Dawn brought a plan. Infiltrate the next shipment, expose Lou, burn the empire. Risky, suicidal, even. But in each other's eyes, they found the why, not just justice, but redemption. For the men they'd been, the love they'd buried. As they geared up, Kevlar under hoodies, burners in pockets, the air crackled with unspoken I love yous. Jake cupped Ryan's face. If we don't make it, we will. Ryan's kiss sealed it, fierce and final. The docks awaited, shrouded in fog off the river. They slipped in like ghosts, hearts synced to the lap of water against pilings. But as they reached the loading bay, a figure stepped from the shadows. Lou Carver, badge glinting false under the floodlights. End of the line, boys. Lou Carver's silhouette filled the doorway, broad shoulders blocking the dim light like a judgment. Rain-slick trench coat, fedora tipped low, straight out of a noir film if noir ended in bullets. Jake's Glock was already out, but Ryan's hand on his wrist stayed the shot. Easy. We talk. Talk. Lou's gravelly laugh echoed off the metal walls. You two lovebirds think you can waltz in here with your little thumb drive and topple the house of cards? Kid, I've been building this longer than you've been breathing. Jake stepped forward, rain dripping from his brow, mixing with sweat. The air reeked of diesel and desperation. Crates stamped humanitarian aid, stacked high, lies in cardboard. Tommy, you used my brother like bait. Lou's eyes flickered, a crack in the armor. Your brother was a junkie with a hero complex. Wanted in, I got him in. Reyes took care of the rest. Ryan tensed beside Jake, his own piece drawn low. You're scum. Lou hiding behind the badge while families get torn apart. The old man shrugged, unholstering slow, deliberate. World scum, Caldwell. You gonna save it one migrant at a time? Or you here for Harlan's sob story? A shuffle behind. Goons emerging from the gloom, Marco among them, smirking like he'd won the lottery. Outnumbered, outgunned. Jake's mind raced. The burner in his pocket, Elena on speed dial, recording live. This is going out, Lou. Every word. Feds'll have your pension by breakfast. Lou's face twisted. Anger, regret? Then let's make it quick. He raised his piece, but Ryan moved first, tackling Jake behind a pallet as shots cracked the night. Chaos erupted. Bullets pinged off steel, sparks flying like fireflies in hell. Jake returned fire blind, the acrid bite of gunpowder filling his lungs. Ryan's voice cut through. Stairs! Up! They bolted for the catwalk overhead, feet pounding rusted grates, the structure groaning under their weight. Below, Marco's crew fanned out, flashlights slicing the dark. A round clipped the rail inches from Jake's head, sending him sprawling. Ryan hauled him up, their eyes locking in the strobe of gunfire. Fear, fury, that unbreakable thread. Go! Ryan shoved him toward the ladder, but Jake spun, firing down, dropping one shadow with a grunt. They crested the platform, slamming the access door, barricading it with a chain from the shadows. Panting, backs to the metal, they slid down. Ryan's arm bled, shirt torn. Grazed. I'm good. You're insane. Jake ripped his own sleeve for a tourniquet, fingers trembling. The intimacy of it, caring for wounds in the heat of battle, stirred something primal, a love forged in fire. Sirens wailed distant, Elena's cavalry. But Lou's voice boomed through the door, megaphone harsh. Come down, Harlan. We both know how this ends. Like Tommy. The name was a knife. Jake lunged for the chain, but Ryan blocked him. Don't. He's baiting you. I end this now. Jake's voice shook, vision tunneling. Ryan grabbed his face, forcing eye contact. We end it together. Or not at all. The words hung, a vow. Jake nodded, the fight ebbing. They hunkered, waiting, the storm outside mirroring the one within. Minutes stretched eternal, punctuated by pounding fists and curses from below. When the feds breached, SWAT in black, barking orders, the warehouse became a frenzy. Jake and Ryan emerged hands high, Lou cuffed and snarling, Marco dragged out in zip ties. Elena met them at the perimeter, notebook forgotten in the adrenaline rush. Got it all. Front page tomorrow. Relief crashed like the receding tide, but Jake's high didn't last. At the precinct, back in the snake pit that had spat him out, detectives swarmed Ryan for statements. Jake paced the hall, replaying Lou's words, the betrayal acid in his veins. Lou, in holding, requested him. Through the glass, the old man's eyes were weary, stripped of bravado. Wasn't personal, kid. Reyes had hooks in everyone. Your brother. He chose the play. Bullshit. Jake leaned close, voice low. You let him die. Lou sighed, chains rattling. Maybe. But you're better than this grudge. Walk away clean. Clean. The word mocked. Jake stormed out, finding Ryan in the lobby, bandaged and exhausted. They cutting you loose? Yeah. Pending review. Ryan's smile was tired, genuine. You? Jake shrugged. Ghost. But, stay. Tonight. Ryan's hand found his, fingers lacing. Thought you'd never ask. The loft felt like sanctuary that night, steam from the shower curling like ghosts. They washed away the grime, blood, rain, the night's residue. Emerging to collapse on the bed, bodies aligning without urgency. Just need. Skin to skin, breath sinking. They traced scars. Jake's bullet wound from the raid. Ryan's faded track marks from a youth misspent. No rush to passion. It was communion, healing the fractures. Tell me about her, Jake murmured into Ryan's hair. Your sister. Ryan tensed, then softened. Lila. She's in college now, pre-med. Clean break after I testified, for real this time. A pause. She asks about you. The man who saved me. Jake's throat tightened. I didn't save you. You saved yourself. Their kiss was slow, exploratory, rediscovering contours, tastes. Ryan's laugh bubbled when Jake's stubble tickled, light piercing dark. In the quiet after tangled sheets and whispered histories, Jake felt the stirrings of hope, fragile as dawn. But morning brought shadows. A knock, federal agent, crisp suit. Mr. Harlan, Mr. Caldwell. We need to talk about Detective Carver's allegations. They sat in a sterile conference room, coffee going cold. The agent, Ramirez, slid photos across. Jake and Ryan, intimate shots from weeks back. Surveillance. Carver claims you two were colluding, leaking intel for personal gain. Ryan's face drained. That's insane. We exposed him. His word against yours. Ramirez's eyes were sympathetic, but firm. And Harlan, your history with IA. It's a mess. Betrayals echo. Lou from his cell twisting the knife one last time. Jake's fists balled. He's lying to bury us. We'll investigate. Ramirez stood. But stay in the city. And, gentlemen, keep it professional. The door clicked shut, leaving silence thick as fog. Ryan buried his face in hands. This is my fault. Dragged you back in. Jake pulled him close, defiant. Our fault. Our fight. They holed up, plotting counters, lawyers, Elena's network, digging deeper into Lou's web. Days blurred. Stakeouts and coffee shops, encrypted calls, the city a labyrinth of allies and enemies. Tension simmered, love deepening in stolen moments. A hand on a thigh under the table. A goodnight kiss that lingered. One evening, walking the bridge over the East River, wind whipping coats, Ryan stopped. If this tanks us, jobs, freedom, what then? Jake turned, skyline glittering behind. Then we run, or rebuild. Together. Ryan's eyes shone. Promise. Promise. Sealed with a kiss, public and unashamed. The world be damned. But Lou's shadow loomed. Anonymous tips flooded in. Threats scrawled on Jake's truck. Calls to Ryan's burner. Snitches get stitches. Paranoia crept. Sleep fractured by nightmares of Tommy's face. Accusatory. Elena called late one night, voice hushed. Got a lead. Lou's got a safe house in the Bronx. Meet me midnight. They geared up again, resolve hardened. The Bronx warehouse was a twin to the first, echoes of fate. But this time, no ambush. Just Elena, pale and urgent. He's talking. Immunity deal. Says Ryan's the mole, that you two fabricated the drive. Ryan recoiled. What? It's a ploy. Elena gripped his arm. Divide and conquer. But the feds are listening. Inside, voices filtered. Lou's, oily. Caldwell's the weak link. Harlan's just collateral. Rage propelled Jake forward, bursting the door. Lou whirled, uncuffed. Deal perks. You! Agents swarmed, but Lou bolted, a sidearm flashing. Shots rang. Jake dove, tackling him mid-stride. They rolled, fists flying, years of mentorship crumbling in grunts and blood. Ryan's shout, stop! But Lou's knife was out, plunging wild. Caught Jake's side, hot pain blooming. He roared, pinning Lou, Glock to temple. Why? For the city, Lou wheezed. Keeps it running. Cuffs clicked. Medics swarmed. Ryan knelt, pressing cloth to the wound, tears streaking. Stay with me. Always, Jake gasped, hand in hair. Hospital lights buzzed sterile, morphine dulling edges. Ryan never left. Vigils by the bed, stories of Lila's latest triumphs, dreams of a cabin upstate. When this is over. No shadows. Jake squeezed his hand. Deal. Discharge brought fragile normalcy. Feds cleared them. Lou's lies unraveled under scrutiny. The drive authenticated. Charges stuck. The empire cracked. Jake got a quiet apology from IA, a civilian consultant gig dangled. Ryan, freelance offers poured, his exposé going viral. But victory tasted bittersweet. Tommy's case reopened, files yielding ghosts, letters from his brother, pleading for out. Jake burned them in the loft's sink, ashes swirling down the drain like absolution. One crisp fall night, leaves crunching underfoot in Prospect Park. Ryan proposed. Not rings, but words. Build with me? Not just survive. Jake pulled him close, kiss tasting of apples and forever. Yeah, we build. The city sprawled below, lights winking promise. Love, in its quiet roar, had mended the fractures. Not erased, but honored. Human, flawed, enduring. Yet as they walked home, a shadow lingered. Marco's trial looming, whispers of retaliation. Danger never fully drowned. But arm in arm they faced it unbreakable. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice, snow blanketing the streets in deceptive purity, muffling the grind of the city that never truly slept. Jake's wound had scarred over, a jagged line across his ribs, a map of survival, but the deeper cuts festered. Lou's trial dominated headlines. Crooked cop turned state's witness. The tabloids crowed, splashing photos of the once hero in orange jumpsuits. Each byline twisted the knife, reminding Jake of barbecues in Lou's backyard. Mentorship that soured to venom. Ryan threw himself into work, his byline on Elena's paper lighting up op-eds about migrant rights. The human cost of borders blurred by greed. Protests swelled. Marches down Fifth Avenue. Signs reading "No More Ghosts." And Ryan was at the front, voice amplified through megaphones. Jake watched from the crowd sometimes. Pride swelling fierce, mingled with fear. Exposure came with eyes. Marco's crew, though fractured, still slithered in shadows. Nights were their refuge. The loft evolved, Ryan's touch in potted herbs on the sill, framed photos of Lila's graduation taped crooked. They cooked haphazardly. Jake's chili too spicy, Ryan's salads too virtuous, laughter seasoning every bite. Intimacy bloomed slow, reverent mornings tangled in sheets, coffee breath and lazy traces along spines. No grand declarations, just the steady rhythm of us. But cracks spiderwebbed. Jake's consultant gig with the DA's office dragged him into late briefings, sifting evidence on Reyes's remnants. One evening, returning snow-dusted, he found Ryan on the couch, laptop glow illuminating a face etched with doubt. Another threat? Jake shrugged off his coat, dread coiling. Ryan closed the screen. Email. Anonymous. Says they know about us, the raid, the files. Wants the drive back or Lila pays. Jake's blood iced. Feds have copies. It's bait. Ryan stood, pacing. Marco's people. They're testing, seeing if we'll crack. They reported it, but the agent, Ramirez again, sighed through the phone. Low priority. Trials got us swamped. Change your locks. Useless. Jake installed cameras instead, paranoia his new companion. Sleep evaded, dreams replaying the knife's bite, Lou's sneer morphing into Ryan's face. Irrational, but insistent. Tension peaked at Lila's holiday visit. She arrived via Amtrak, all wide smiles and pre-med textbooks, hugging Ryan fierce before eyeing Jake appraisingly. The savior, huh? More like the trouble, Jake quipped, but her laugh eased the knot in his chest. They did tourist traps, Rockefeller tree aglow, ice skating wobbles, and for a night normalcy reigned. Lila grilled Jake over eggnog. You really take a bullet for him? Every time, Jake said, meaning it. Ryan's gaze across the tree, soft and sure, sealed the moment. But on Christmas Eve, as snow fell fat flakes outside, the doorbell buzzed. Jake checked the peephole, delivery guy innocuous. The package, unmarked box, tape fresh. Inside a finger, severed, bloodless, tagged with a note. Next is hers. Lila screamed. Ryan retched. Jake called it in, voice steady as steel. Feds swarmed, but the trail vanished. Ghost ship in digital fog. Lila left the next day, tearful goodbyes and promises of caution. Ryan withdrew, shadows under eyes deepening. I can't lose her. Or you. You won't. Jake held him through the sobs, but doubt gnawed. Was this love, or a chain dragging them under? The new year dawned gray, resolve hardening. Elena connected them to a hacker collective ethical off-grid, tracing the email to a burner in Jersey. Jake and Ryan tailed it. Stakeout in a frozen sedan, thermos coffee steaming windows. The drop was a dive bar, neon open, flickering like a liar's promise. Inside, smoke-hazed, they spotted him. Wiry kid, tattoos snaking arms, nursing a beer. Ryan recognized the ink, Marco's sigil. They waited till he slipped out back, alley reeking of garbage and urine. Jake moved silent, cuffing him against brick before the kid could yelp. Talk. Pleading eyes, accent thick. Just a job, man. Messenger. Boss says deliver, I deliver. Who's boss? Ryan pressed, voice edged. The kid cracked under pressure, name spilling. Victor, Marco's underboss, holed in a Brownsville stash house. Planning a hit on witnesses, Lila top of the list. They fed it to Ramirez, sweat rolling at dawn. The raid was textbook. Doors breached, flashes popping. But Victor slipped, a ghost in the chaos. Gunfire echoed, a fed down, and in the melee, Ryan vanished. Jake's world tilted. Ryan! Shouting into static, heart hammering as he cleared rooms, feds barking coordinates. Found him in the basement. Unconscious, bound to a chair, Victor's knife at his throat. The underboss sneered, wild-eyed. One move, hero, and he bleeds. Time fractured. Jake's gun trained steady, mind a whirlwind. Flash to Tommy's funeral, rain-slick casket. To Ryan's call that first night, voice breaking. Love wasn't abstract, it was the choice to stand. Take me, Jake said. Let him go. Victor laughed, but greed flickered. Both worth more. Ryan stirred, eyes fluttering open. Jake, no. The shot came from behind, feds, precise. Victor slumped, Ryan slumping free. Jake caught him, cradling as medics swarmed. Got you. Whispers in the ER. Concussion, stitches. Jake's vigil renewed, hand never leaving Ryan's. When he woke, groggy, first words, idiot, again. Jake's laugh broke. Habit. Victor's arrest cracked the remnants. Interrogations yielding ledgers, safe codes. Marco's empire crumbled, trials stacking like dominoes. Lila safe, Elena's stories earning Pulitzers. But the cost lingered. Jake's trust fractured. Ryan's fire dimmed. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms defiant along the avenues. They walked Central Park one Sunday, hands brushing casual. Ryan stopped at the boat pond, ducks paddling lazy. I'm done, Jake. The undercover, the risks. Want normal. You and me, maybe a dog. Jake's chest ached, relief, terror. Normal's overrated. But yeah, us. The kiss under petals was renewal, soft as forgiveness. Yet doubt whispered. Could they outrun the past? Summer heat baked the asphalt, mirages dancing. Jake's gig expanded, training recruits on ethics, lose fall a cautionary tale. Ryan consulted for NGOs, borders his battlefield from afar. But Victor's trial unearthed horrors. Tommy's death not accident, but erasure, lose order to silence a leak. Jake testified, voice raw, the courtroom a crucible. Lou, across the aisle, met his eyes, no apology, just hollow man. After Ryan waited outside, arms open. Proud of you. In the courthouse shadow, Jake broke. Not tears, but barriers. He was family. Was, Ryan echoed. We are. Fall brought harvest. Lila's internship in the city. Dinners raucous with stories. Elena's wedding. Jake best man. Ryan's toast sly and heartfelt. The loft filled. Bookshelves sagging. A mutt named Scout snoring by the fire escape. One eve. Thunder rumbling distant. Ryan knelt by the window. Ring box velvet. Not traditional. But you're my always. Jake pulled him up, yes, and a kiss. Not perfect, scars etched deep, but human, woven tight. Yet climax brewed unseen. Marco's appeal, whispers of acquittal. A late call. Anonymous. Reyes walks tomorrow. Loose ends. They geared, one last ride. The courthouse steps, dawn pale, shadows coalescing. Marco emerged, free on technicality, eyes locking on them. You! The shot rang, not from Marco but his shadow. Ryan shoved Jake, taking the hit square. Blood bloomed, world tilting. No! Jake's scream tore night, cradling as sirens wailed. Marco fled, but feds closed, net cast. Hospital again, déjà vu cruel. Ryan pale, machines beeping. Worth it, he rasped. Don't you dare. Jake's tears fell hot. Fight. Hours blurred. Surgeons, waits, prayers unspoken. Dawn broke as Ryan stabilized, weak smile. Told you. Together. Autumn leaves carpeted the sidewalks in fiery protest against winter's approach. But in Jake Harlan's world, seasons blurred into a haze of hospital corridors and styrofoam coffee. Ryan Caldwell lay in the ICU bed, tubes snaking like accusations, monitors beeping a fragile rhythm. The bullet had nicked lung, shattered rib, survivable, Doc said, if infection didn't claim him. Jake hadn't left his side in 72 hours, badge from his consultant days earning him leeway, but it was love that anchored him, stubborn as Brooklyn bedrock. Lila arrived by noon, flight from Boston a blur, collapsing into Jake's arms with sobs that echoed her brother's. He can't, not now. He won't. Jake's voice was rock, but inside, terror clawed. This wasn't drama. It was life, teetering on scalpels and chance. Elena paced the hall, phone glued to ear, rallying press. Shooting outside courthouse, witness targeted. Headlines screamed by evening. Empire's last gasp. Reyes rearrested. Marco cuffed again, his technicality revoked in the blood's wake. Victor flipped fully, spilling guts for leniency. The web unraveled. Cops indicted, charities shuddered, borders a little less cruel. But victory rang hollow in the sterile beep. Jake dozed in the vinyl chair, dreams fracturing. Ryan's laugh in the park, blood on courthouse marble. Waking to Lila's hand on his shoulder. Go home. Shower. He'll need you whole. Reluctant, he obeyed, loft echoing empty. Scout whined at the door, tail thumping tentative. Jake buried face in fur, grief spilling. Hold on, buddy. He will too. Back at dawn, Ryan stirred. Eyes fluttering, voice whisper. Miss me. Jake's laugh choked. World's dimmer without you. Recovery was slog. Weeks of physio. Ryan cursing through lung exercises. Jake's hands steady on his back. Lila shuttled meals, empanadas from their mom's recipe, stories of med school horrors to distract. Elena dropped clippings, the expose now a book deal, but her visits were quiet. You saved him. Again. Did he? Doubt gnawed. The call ignored, the shadows unseen. Ryan sensed it, pulling Jake close on good days. Bed creaking under weight. Stop blaming. We chose this. Chose love, Jake murmured, forehead to temple. Worth every scar. Discharge brought fragile freedom. The loft adapted, ramps for scouts' aging hips, oxygen tank discreet in corner. Ryan's freelance went remote, articles typed one-fingered. Jake cut hours, balancing briefs with home. Grocery runs to bodegas, sunset walks when strength allowed. Winter solstice glowed, tree trimmed lopsided. Lights twinkling defiance. Lila home for break, Elena toasting with spiked cider. Ryan, propped on couch, raised glass shaky. To fractures mended, and the men who hold them. Tears pricked. Jake kissed his temple, ring glinting, simple band, vow etched inside. Always. Spring unfurled tentative. Ryan's breaths easing, color returning. They escaped to upstate, cabin rental by a lake, air pine sharp. Mornings. Coffee on porch, scout splashing shallows. Afternoons. Hike slow, hands linked, Tommy's ghost gentler in green. One twilight, fire crackling, Ryan turned serious. The book, it's ours. Your story too. Jake shook head. Yours. I was scenery. No. Ryan's grip tightened. You were the why. Justice without hearts, just noise. They submitted it together. Midnight fracture. Shadows of the badge. Anonymized, but true. Offers flooded. Podcasts, panels. Ryan shone, voice steady on stages, Jake in wings, proud sentinel. Summer hummed content. Beach days in Coney, hot dogs greasy, Ferris wheel kisses. Lila's graduation, valedictorian speech on resilience, eyes on Ryan, Jake. For the ones who fight invisible wars. Fall circled back, leaves gold. Marco's sentencing, life, no parole. Lose 2, conspiracy, the mentors fall complete. Jake watched from gallery, no catharsis, just closure. Quiet nod to the manacles, enough. Home. Ryan waited, dinner simmering, scout at feet. It's done. Yeah. Jake pulled him close, slow dance to radio jazz. Now we live. Years wove tapestry. Lila's wedding in the park, Jake walking her. Ryan's toast teary. Scouts passing, buried under the oak, paws etched in stone. Their own vows renewed lakeside, rings updated with dates. Ages crept, gray at temples, lines etching laughs. Ryan's book a staple in civics classes, migrants' tales amplified. Jake mentored quietly, badge reclaimed on his terms. One winter eve, snow soft outside, they sat by fire, hands clasped. Ryan's breath even, eyes distant. If I go first. Stop. Jake's voice thick. Ryan smiled, faint. Just love like this? It's the win. Dawn came gentle. Ryan slipped quiet, hand in Jake's, face peaceful. Grief tsunami, funeral rain lashed, friends eulogizing firebrand, lover. But Jake endured. Planted trees for migrants, funded scholarships in Tommy's name, Lila's kids calling him Grandpa J. The loft sold, cabin home, porch swing for memories. Solace in echoes, Ryan's laugh in wind, touch in sun. Love didn't end. It rippled, humanistic testament. Fractured, yes, but whole in the breaking. In the city's roar, Jake walked on, heart scarred but open. For the boy who'd called midnight, the man who'd answered. Somewhere in chaos, love had grown eternal, unbroken.